What's up, everybody? This is Don,
This is B.
and welcome back to Not Another Damn Podcast. Today, we're kind of switching up the pace a little bit. It's not sports. It is more pop culture and social issues. And with today being June 18th, when we're recording this podcast, we're going to talk about a day that not a lot of people may know or even know the significance of it, and that is called Juneteenth.
That's correct.
So, a common misconception with Juneteenth is people think that was the day that the slaves were emancipated and the slaves were set free. And that's the partial truth. It's really the day that the last state, which was Texas, emancipated all of their... Abolished slavery, pretty much. Since Texas wasn't a battleground when the Emancipation Proclamation was written by President Lincoln, they didn't technically have to abolish slavery when all the rest of the states did. So they abolished their slaves, I want to say...
That was what, 1865? Or
I believe so.
I should know this off the top of my head. Sadly, we don't get taught
Yeah,
this
nope,
stuff in school.
1865.
All right, good.
So you got it right. So 1865 is when they abolished slavery, which was 3 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1862, but it didn't go into effect until 1863, and Juneteenth. So June 19th, 1865 is when Texas, the last state that was holding out, actually abolished slavery. So before that, in Texas, if you were a slave, if you escaped to the north, or if you escaped to New Mexico or Oklahoma, you were free. But if you were actually in the state of Texas, you could still be, enslaved or punished or whatever they did for runaway slaves, if you recall.
So my thoughts, obviously, I think it's an incredible day. Something that, unfortunately does not get enough attention in this country.
It's a national holiday, celebrated by 45 states, which is like, why don't 5 states celebrate it?
Well, it's not just that. I feel like, I remember last year working at the plant. I was working at a horrible location, which I'm not going to name. Having said that, the plant was predominantly black and brown.
Mm-hmm.
And further breaking down, predominantly black. And I remember, I believe I was there. It was on June 19th, or it might have been a day or two before. I don't remember. And I went up to several of my coworkers, black coworkers, and brought up Juneteenth. You know what their response was?
The hell is that?
What the hell is that? Mm-hmm. They had no idea what Juneteenth was. And the sad thing is, talk to any other ethnic minority in this country about some sort of significant holiday, which took place in all likelihood in a completely different country, unless we're talking about the indigenous peoples. But whether it's Latin American celebrations in Mexico or anywhere else in South Central America, or Puerto Rico, which is part of America, unfortunately, based because of colonialism, various instances in the Middle East, being Middle Eastern American and being of having Armenian ancestry. I know about the Armenian genocide memorial date, April 24th, 1950. That's engraved into my memory because I was talking about that when I was young.
All right.
Most black people who I've come into contact with don't even know what Juneteenth is. Not only do they not have an idea, or I think it's like, what the hell is that?
And I think the biggest reason behind that, with me being black myself, because I never heard about that growing up. Like, no one ever told me Juneteenth. I didn't learn about that until I got older. I think what the biggest issue with that is I don't say we don't have a culture. We do have a culture. We don't have a historical culture, though. When it comes to black culture, everything that we learn historically is taught to us by white people. Mm-hmm. Like, we learn about it in the school.
It's packaged by
right. So it's packaged together, and they're like, okay, this is what I want everyone to learn. I want everyone to learn this. So when we as black people learn black culture, it's from a white perspective, and it shouldn't be that way.
No.
Like, when Jewish people learn Jewish culture in school, it's from a white perspective. But then when you go home, your parents, your grandparents, they teach you what happened as well from the Jewish perspective.
Like the Holocaust and stuff.
Exactly. Like, you learn about the Holocaust in school, and you hear like, oh, this happened, this happened, this happened. But then, if you're a Jewish person, and even let's say you have someone that's even close to that age, they can actually tell you the horrors that went on.
And you bring up a good point, but the other thing is, like, black and brown history is not taught, obviously, in America. We learn about European white history. Like, I never learned about conflicts in the Middle East growing up. I didn't learn about the Armenian genocide. I didn't learn about World War I and how the Germans how European, German, white imperialists helped lead to the deaths, the atrocities of several of my own people. I never learned about that. But not to defend it, but the one difference is it didn't happen here. It happened in Asia.
Right.
But slavery happened here.
Correct.
The transatlantic slave trade, we talk about Black American slavery, Afro-American slavery, that happened in this country and it's not taught. So that makes it like entirely, makes it reach a whole new level.
I think
of just
the reason it isn't taught is because, okay, let's say in World War I.
Makes white people uncomfortable.
Exactly. World War I, white people were looked at as the heroes. World War II, you can spin it, they're looked at as the heroes. Even though in both those situations, America wasn't. I mean, World War II, Pearl Harbor, but they look at as the heroes. A lot of these situations, even when you learn about the Holocaust, they're like, oh no, those are Germans. They weren't Americans. So they're looked at as the heroes. They went in there, oh, the Americans helped save the German people.
But the funny thing is, even if it is Germans, we're talking about, you still aren't blaming white people for it. You'd have to break it down. And you don't even blame Germans. We just say Nazis.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you know what I'm saying? When other atrocities occurred, or anything in this world today, you attribute it and you want to stick it to a minority group specifically, especially when it's applied to black people, you're going to blame the entire race. But no one ever blames white people for the Holocaust. It's Nazis. People don't even blame Germans. You know what I'm saying?
They make Nazis as like they're their own race of people.
Right.
Like, no, a Nazi is a group that was made. It's like Bloods and Crips. Like, blood isn't like you're not born a blood. You're not born a Nazi.
But the thing is, though, when it comes to Bloods and Crips, we do break it down to usually just black people. Oh, that's black
exactly.
people.
No, that's they call it.
When it's Nazis or white supremacists, it's just a specific subgroup.
It's almost like not even a subgroup. It's almost like they're their own race. Like they're referred to like they're their own race. And why I feel like certain holidays and certain things aren't taught in schools or in school systems is because it makes the white man or woman look bad. They're not the hero figure in the story. You don't learn about Malcolm X in school really.
No,
because of his practices, the way he went about things.
Right.
And even Dr. King. We hear "I Have a Dream" speech,
but we don't learn about his radical side.
But not at all. We don't learn that Dr. King, before his death, was leaning more towards Malcolm X's side.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the funny thing is, remember I told you he had that rant about the white moderate, where he wrote an entire letter, the Birmingham from the jail, where he wrote about
saying
the
like
white
how he
moderate.
felt like he led his people astray. Like Dr. King was saying pretty much that, I'm not saying word for word verbatim, but to sum it up is that he led his people astray, trying to say that they could compromise with these white people when they didn't want to compromise. But we don't learn about that part of Dr. King in school. We hear the "I Have a Dream." We hear the
and that black and white.
Peacefully.
Let's all come together and pretend that racism doesn't exist as long as we all hold hands.
Exactly. Like we hear the kumbaya, but we don't hear the radical side of Dr. King because it doesn't make the white people look good.
Right. It makes them uncomfortable.
Race in this world. When people say, "Oh, I don't see race," or "I don't see color," the dumbest shit you can say.
That means you don't see a black guy and a brown guy. That's what that tells you. That means if you say you colorblind, so you're saying you don't see us. You don't see minorities.
That's the dumbest shit you can say. Oh no, I don't see color. Everyone sees color. It's how you react to that color.
How you treat color.
It's not do you see it. I want you to see. I am a black man. I'm not ashamed of that. But don't react to me a certain way because I'm a black man. Get to know me first.
I'm a brown Muslim man.
But
you don't have to. You don't have to go on some rant about how you don't care about religion or whatever the case may be. If you're tweeting Islamophobic stuff, 90% retweeting Trump's anti-Muslim bigotry,
and that's the biggest thing. Like, if we don't radicalize and change the schooling system or the educational department,
that's where it starts.
That's where it starts at. But I've always said the victor writes their spoils. So Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner,
which originally had an entirely racist verse about slaves.
But you omit that part.
Right.
And then it's like, oh no, we didn't use that part of the song though. It doesn't matter. The person that wrote the song and the song itself was racist.
That's why I don't stand for that bullshit.
But he wrote that song and was able to publish it because the side he was on won. If they didn't win, the song would be completely different. Like, basically what I'm trying to say is, history is written by the perspective of the winners. And the winner's job is to make sure that their side looks the best. Because I'm pretty sure when Nazi Germany, when Hitler controlled Nazi Germany,
he controlled the press, he controlled everything.
Yeah, the people that were Nazis believed that what they were doing was right and what Americans were doing were wrong. Mm-hmm. Even in America, we have propaganda. There's propaganda everywhere. So if you're letting all of this false information get out, fabricated information get out, like Christopher Columbus discovering America. False information.
Even though he didn't even touch
fabricated
the continental
information.
United States.
Why is there a Columbus there? And that's not me being funny. That's me being 100%. We get off work.
Instead of an Indigenous Peoples Day?
Exactly. Like, why is there a Columbus Day? No one in their right mind can tell me why there is a Columbus Day. I thought from the probably up to the 8th grade that
I know.
Columbus
I genuinely believe that.
discovered America.
That's the scary thing. I believe that too.
Yeah, I'm like, Christopher Columbus, who discovered America?
In 1492, Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That was literally The funny thing is, he wasn't even the first white people here. The Vikings came before.
The Vikings came before he was here.
And
the crazy thing is, they even tell you that, people thought the Earth was flat back then. Like, no, it's actually a common fact that a lot of scientists and people, that does astrology, knew that the Earth was round. So it's like there's a lot of things that people just tell you, like, you only use 10% of your brain. People just tell you that, and if you ask the average person, they probably tell you that right now, like, you only use 10% of your brain.
Because at some point, it's just when certain rhetoric is just used over and over again, it just becomes accepted as common fact.
But that's the thing, we're not getting facts, and I think this social media age is actually what's changing that, because now it's at the tip of my fingers. Mm-hmm. I can look it up. Christopher Columbus discovered America. Actually, he never stepped foot on. What's
the continent?
America? No, I think he was in the Caribbean islands.
Yep, and then he slaughtered the Taino Indians.
Mm-hmm. So it's like there's a lot of things that they put in these books, and Juneteenth is just one of them. We thought we'd touch on it because it is June 19th, which is tomorrow.
We have to say Happy Juneteenth.
So Happy Juneteenth.
And a salute to all everyone. The ancestors of all the ADOS, the American descendants of slaves. Mm-hmm. I hope every black American, obviously I'm staying in my lane, this is your holiday. But I hope every black American takes a moment to appreciate what their ancestors had to go through and really recognize a really important day in the history of the black American struggle, which obviously is still alive and well to this day. And that leads perfectly into our next subject, the Central Park 5.
And I'm pretty sure everyone, or a lot of people, have either seen it or heard of it.
The When They See Us, the 4-part series on Netflix. Now, as of right now, only gotten through the first 2 episodes. Don, I know you were able to. I believe, did you say you get through all 4?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the first 2 episodes, I just want to give my little spiel right quick, and I'm gonna let you
go ahead.
Hop on the mic. But obviously, watching the first episode, man, I'd always been very familiar with Central Park 5K. Something I followed really for the past several years since I really got involved in the political spectrum, the political world, so to speak. Obviously, it was something that was very troubling. But at that point, it's something you read about. Don't get me wrong. I knew it was messed up. I knew that it was these black teens getting framed. But then once you see it represented in a movie, and you can visualize it and see, are they actors? Obviously. But 14-year-old, 16, 15-year-old kids being basically grabbed off the street just to basically, so the police could use some sort of
they needed an arrest.
They needed a villain, to fit this arrest to justify, or not just to bring to light, to bring the crime committed against a white woman to justice. Now, let's get one thing clear: we are not justifying what happened to that woman. That was
not at all
horrible,
not at all.
And it's great that she was able to survive that, because she did not deserve that. But what those those boys went through, they weren't men, they were boys. So forgive me for saying
it. Might have been even worse.
What those boys went through was worse.
I don't want to compare, because the rape or being raped has never happened to me, and I can't even imagine what that's like.
So I guess I should probably resent what I just said. I don't know, but it was awful.
Both are very atrocious, and it affects you mentally. Both will affect you for the rest of your life. Or the rest of your life.
And like I said, we spoke about it in our previous segment, but unfortunately it got lost due to technical difficulties. But what it reminded me of, and again, I'm not comparing my situation at all to what those kids went through, but like one of my first major run-ins of the law came when I was 20 years old. I was at my girlfriend's house, back when she stayed in Midtown, having a barbecue. And at that point, like I said, we had a couple of issues with police, which we can talk about in further episodes. But I had you to sort of help me out in the situation because you were better. You've always been more cool, calm, and collected than I've been in my life. So in that situation, we all barbecue and have a good time. It's in the summer. And all of a sudden, I see police pull up to my car outside. They just all jump out and surround the car. And they all start looking over. And so I'm a little paranoid, freaked out, so I can't see what's going on.
All right.
Cop asks, it's like 6 or 8 cops, like 4 police cars pull up. Sir, are you the owner of this vehicle? I say, yes. Cop throws me up against my car, starts patting me down. Is there anything sharp on you that's going to stick out or poke me? And I'm, like I said, I'm confused. I don't even know what's going on. So my girl comes out. Her whole family comes out. My girlfriend is like starting to go into a panic attack and she don't know what's going on. So she starts crying and stuff. And then they're asking, her mom asks, like, what is this about? And the guy says, oh, well, this gentleman matches the description of a light-skinned male of color wearing a purple shirt who was seen pointing a gun at various bystanders of various houses. Now, I was so confused because I didn't do that. And then he starts asking, search my car. And like I said, the cop is yelling at me. He was patting me down very hard. He was instigating. Luckily, I was able to keep my composure a little bit. But he then asks if he can search my car. I say, go right ahead. Finds a BB gun with the orange tip. Says, what is this doing here? I say, it's a BB gun. Right. Why do you have this? And I asked him, like, is it illegal? And he goes, no, but why do you have it? And I'm like, I don't know, because it's fun to play with. And he asked where I got it from. I was like, I think from a Walmart or a Dick's Sporting Goods or something. And so he's like, you don't know where? And so, like, the whole thing just kept going back and forth. My girlfriend actually takes out her phone. A couple of her family members take out phones too to record the situation, just for my own protection, in case they try to do some racist shit or whatever. Right. And the worst part about it was this black cop shows up.
I'm like, acting a damn fool, right?
But I'm like, oh, I'm good. He gonna look out.
Right.
I got Uncle Tom, man. He was riding me harder than the white cop.
You heard NWA saying fuck the police.
Yeah, and they called that one black cop a sellout.
Uh-huh.
This guy was the worst. He starts harassing me even more. He asked me, do you have any warrants or anything we need to know about? And at this point, I'm just like almost on the border of losing because I'm angry, I'm confused, I'm embarrassed because like the whole neighborhood is like outside staring at me, mind you. It's not like it's just my girlfriend. It's like the whole fucking block comes out. Mm-hmm. So all these random people, mind you, it's Midtown, so there's a lot of white people up there. And so it just helps create more of like a racialized image of brown and black people at this point because they see the minority being patted down. So that just looked bad in and of itself. After a while, actually, the funny thing was it was actually a white female cop that wound up basically running my plates, running my ID. And they're like, he's clean. Guys, it only took about 15 minutes, of course. But the funny thing was, like, I was like really traumatized. I still am to this day because of that. That really, because growing up, man, I never hated police growing up. I mean, I guess because I didn't really know much about them. I always heard my dad complain, my parents complain about them a little bit, I guess. But that situation really changed my whole perception of them and violated my trust and changed the way I see them moving forward. But like the funniest thing about that is I was like, damn, being brown, being Muslim, being Middle Eastern is tough in this country when it comes to dealing with stuff like that. And then I was like, man, I can't even imagine what it must be like to be black in this country.
It's crazy because police are supposed to be here to protect and serve. I believe it's on their shield.
I believe so.
Who has ever been in a car and a police officer got behind them without even flashing their lights?
Shit.
And you're like, I'm good.
Not me.
Even if you know for a fact
that you're doing
the car's good, your license is good, you're doing nothing wrong, you don't have any weapons. Mm-hmm. No one. Because they don't give off that energy. It's like, to me, police should be how a good principal is in the school. Mm-hmm. You see him, you should be able to talk to him, express problems, they should be able to discipline you when you're acting wrong. But it shouldn't be an issue whenever you walk down the hallway and you see your principal like, oh shit, let me walk the other way. Mm-hmm. And that's how it is being black in America.
Right.
When we see police officers, like when I see a police officer, I don't go to engage in them. I don't feel safer that the police is around. Ever.
No minority does.
It's like, because this situation at any moment could switch to me being a suspect. That's all it takes for them to say, oh yeah, he fit the description. What's the description? Black guy. anywhere from
I thought being light skinned was gonna save me.
5'10" to 6'1". Oh, cool. All right, bet. Now I'm a suspect, and that's how it is in a lot of these cases. Like, as black men in America, and it's a touch back on Central Park 5. These were boys. These weren't men.
No,
these were.
Media
boys.
might try to label them men because of that's how they try.
The oldest
to do it
one
when
was
it comes to
16.
Black people. 16. Yep.
These were boys.
Kids.
And it's funny that
Kids.
whenever there's a black kid, he's always referred to as a man. But whenever a white man does something, he's a boy. He's a child. He doesn't know any better. He's 25 years
White
old.
25-year-old shooting up a movie theater. He's
Yeah, he's a child.
Troubled child.
He was a great child. Like, no. And that's the thing. They use this coded language.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
If I say, "Oh, man gets arrested for rape," like, oh, okay, whatever, he's a man, probably deserves that. But if I say boy gets arrested for rape, then you're really looking to it. Like, hold on, how old was he? What did he do? Where was he at?
It's like the Southern strategy, what Nixon used back in the 60s, and boy, I forget what his VP was named. I should remember, but they talked about it, like how they would use certain coded language because at this time America had started to progress a little bit, believe it or not, and like using the N-word, stuff like that as a political. During a campaign was like no longer acceptable, even if you were running as a conservative. And so they would talk about this guy in the 80s. His you can look it up on YouTube. The VP came out and they got a recording of it. He's basically like, "Y'all don't quote me on this now." That's what he says. He's like, "At this point in time, you can't say and he says it with the hard R. You can't say that anymore. That's no good. That'll get you bad votes." So you start talking about things like states' rights and things of that nature. That's coded. But what it really means is maintaining the ass backwards laws that helped completely oppress black people
for years,
and brown people for centuries,
and
predominantly black people, still to this day.
And
so
that's the thing, everything's
coded language, and the media does it too.
I literally, and this has pissed me off, and I know I'm going off subject. I literally saw people calling Cam Newton a thug because he was dabbing. He was dancing, and they called him a thug.
I saw
thug is the N-word.
Oh, it's a racially charged term. We all know.
For sure. But the thing is, all he was doing was dabbing when he scored. And this lady wrote a letter. "My son used to be a big fan, but you're showboating." But Aaron Rodgers did the whole WWE, and I didn't. He got an endorsement deal. State Farm.
It's funny you bring up thug because I was reading an article about Darius Slay, about how he was holding out on training camp because he was trying to reach a new contract. See a white guy comment on it. Screw this guy. He's being a thug. He's being a thug because he wants to get his money before putting his body on the line. He's a thug.
He's a thug.
What about that is even thuggish?
I have not.
Being black is a thug.
I'm trying to think
automatically.
Since I've been living and since I've been coherent and understanding the world, I have not in the real world seen a white guy referred to as a thug. Anything. In hockey, they fight all the time.
No, it's all good though.
It's all good. It's part of the game.
It's part of the game.
Baseball.
Boys will be
brawl.
No, unless it's the Hispanics involved.
Oh no, but still, you have bench clearing brawls in. Oh, okay, whatever.
I don't know, man. If it's caused by one of them Dominicans, they're gonna say something different.
And well, Jose Batista, he got punched. But in basketball, let someone push someone else. Oh, he's a thug. That doesn't belong in the NBA. Like, bro, whenever there's a black guy, whether it's basketball or football, like, why isn't football's already a violent sport? So I said it's strictly basketball because you rarely see any fights in football. You see a lot of pushing, but But why is it that if two black guys get emotional towards each other and they start angry and start arguing, they're automatically thugs? I saw it it's crazy because this Cam Newton thing was sticking out of my head. That's thuggish behavior. But Aaron Rodgers, who did the same thing.
It's all good when Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool. He's an American sweetheart. And no disrespect to Aaron Rodgers. I love Aaron Rodgers. I don't think either one of the behaviors were unacceptable.
No, absolutely.
They were both completely
We're
acceptable.
just pointing out the double
But what I'm
standard.
saying is, it's the coded language that we use or that the world uses when they're describing black people. And it sucks.
Yeah.
And it sucks. Just like the Central Park 5, those boys didn't know their rights.
No,
They didn't
were
know
coerced into saying things on tape, despite the fact that there was no DNA
They didn't know
evidence. There was nothing.
They didn't know that they shouldn't even have been interrogated.
They had no idea. And that's why they don't teach us that stuff in school.
Exactly.
It's all
they don't
part
want
of
us
the
to be able
plan.
to fight
It's the
back.
elaborate plan.
And
it's the white man's plan.
There was no evidence that these boys committed any crime, and even after the fact, even after they got out of jail, they got confessed to it. The prosecutor's still saying, "Well, no, those boys were part of it."
Oh, and Linda Fairstein should be given the death penalty, in my opinion.
It's crazy how we get done in America.
I think every detective, all of them, should either be serving life. Everybody involved in that wrongful imprisonment of those young black boys should either be facing the death penalty, as Donald Trump suggested, right? Mm-hmm. He wanted the death penalty people that didn't even do anything just because it was a white woman that was a victim. Racist ass, white supremacist ass Donald Trump.
But it's crazy because I haven't seen anyone
come out and really go crazy about
the death penalty for Dylan Roof.
Oh, of course.
Who actually went into it.
He was a hero to a lot of them.
And shot people in a church.
Don't worry though, he got a free ride at Burger King right now.
Yeah, and I think he put a bulletproof vest on him.
I think so, yeah.
But my man's the rapper in Sacramento got shot 40 times while he was sleeping in his car. They woke him up and shot him 40 times. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's a continuing story.
It's crazy. It's like I see it every single day.
And the thing that bothers me
whether
the most,
you're compliant or non-compliant, what these officers do is they give conflicting orders.
Yeah.
Show me your hands, but give me your ID. Put your hands up, but then put them behind your back.
Right.
Don't move your hands on my sight. Put your hands in front of your leg and stomach.
And then when shots are fired, it's all justified.
Oh yeah. Leave. I don't know if you remember. It's probably like 3 years ago. It looked like it was a hotel lobby. SWAT bust into the hotel, had guns on them. Boom. They had a point at this guy.
Oh, the white guy.
Yeah, they was like, get down. He got down. Put your hands up.
Oh, yeah, that's the funny thing is that this issue does apply. We're not saying it's only a black problem.
Oh, no.
The police issue extends as an entirely societal problem. Let's make that clear. Yes.
It's just that it's more...
It disproportionately affects black people and other minority groups more so.
Exactly.
But white people are still...
The guy's crawling, and the police officer's like... Well, I think he was pulling up his pants because his pants were falling down.
He gave him multiple
orders that were conflicting. He's already scared. You're pointing a gun at him.
And he has no idea why he's even in this position to be with. It's not like he could see, like, oh, okay, there's a misunderstanding. Like, he was there as an exterminator.
Long story short was the guy was crawling. He put up his pants. Police officer told him not to. He's crawling again. His pants fell down. He pulls up his pants, and the police officer shot him. And it's like, that is really worth taking someone's life.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how they justify these things where a guy like George Zimmerman can get off, which stands your ground when you were the aggressor. I don't understand how it stands your ground if you're the
aggressor.
That
whole law was created
regardless
for white supremacy.
I don't care if Trayvon Martin whooped his ass, stumped him out. You were the aggressor. Both of you can't be standing your ground.
He was being stalked.
Both of you can't
Zimmerman.
be standing your ground.
He was being stalked even though the police told him not to.
Right.
Not that I respect
if I smack you
anyway.
And you smack me back and then I shoot you, I'm not standing my ground. I caused the whole art. Like, you could be whooping.
You were the instigator.
I instigated it. I caused it. I was the aggressor. How was I standing my ground? But yet you get off. But in the same state of Florida, where a lady fired 2 shots in the air, she got arrested, and no one got hit.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was a black lady.
And the thing that bothers me the most is that people are looking at this and go, oh, it happened 30 years ago. But it's like, the thing is, though, is that I literally click online and see a case every day of another black person who would be wrongfully imprisoned for 25 years, finally being freed.
Yep.
Central Park 5, I'm not taking away from its relevance and its significance, but it's the fact that one, it was New York, Trump was involved, it was a high-profile case because of the ages. But again, I see things like this involving black American youth, black American adults, black American seniors, whatever the case may be, being released after decades in prison. Literally every day I read a new story. Every day. Mm-hmm. The Central Park 5 is just a microcosm of the black American
it's just
story.
one of many.
It's not one of many. It's not even a highlight. It's just one that happened to get more attention.
You know why they started using fingerprints, right? Because a black guy was wrongly convicted. A black guy that looked like another black guy was wrongly convicted. Although there was no evidence, he had this is however long ago. I learned this in my forensic science class when I was in high school. And I forget their name and everything, but he looked like the other black guy. He had an alibi, told him where he was. They didn't believe him.
Not good.
He ended up getting off because I think the other guy committed a crime and confessed to that crime while he was in jail. But it's like,
so yeah,
it's been happening since the beginning of time, and I don't think it's going to change.
And it's the only way
until the police can actually police themselves.
Well, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, because police there's just a big gang. The police is the biggest gang in the world.
The best thing we can do is continue to try to spread the word through whatever platform we can hopefully receive, and hope that more people like us continue speaking out about these societal injustices, because not another damn podcast. We're not just about sports. We're not just about news. We're about not restoring, because there's never been order in this world. There's never been justice in the world. We're about trying to achieve justice. We're trying to reach that point. I agree. So, once again, man, thank you everyone for tuning into our first non-sports podcast.
The first one.
Not of the damn podcast will be the first of many. Touching on a very controversial subject. So again, we hope you all enjoyed it. Please like, thumbs up, comment, repost, dislike if you really want to, although we don't really want that.
Please
leave a negative comment if you really want to, although we don't really want that.
You can leave
but
comments.
You can do it.
Don't dislike.
Okay,
whatever
negative comments. Okay. So again, man, thank you everyone for the continued support. We hope you all enjoyed this podcast. No, it's a little bit controversial. No, it's touching on a subject that might be sensitive to some folks, but it's stuff that needs to be said, and we're happy we were able to take the time to share it with you today. Now, did you have anything to add?
Nope, that's it. Follow our Instagram, follow our Twitter.
Links to that.
NAD_podcast on Twitter, and Not Another Damn Podcast on Instagram.
Can't forget that. Follow our personal Instagram and Twitter accounts as well, which will be included at the end of this video.
All right, everybody. I'm Don.
I'm B.
And this is Not Another Damn Podcast.
We out.